Anyone else for citizen participation?
Good evening, Council. I am Brad Patterson, the General Manager of the Lahaina KOA and Country Car Rentals. My wife Wendy and I bought our campground started the car rental business 8 years ago now. It's hard to believe. Time has flown. And I had the opportunity to visit with Council in July of that first year. And thanks to the encouragement of Councilwoman Pantoja, after 8 years I've decided to come back and visit with you once more. I want to also thank the Office of Economic Development and the Chamber of Commerce for encouraging us to get into the rental car business. When we bought a campground, we didn't plan on doing rental cars, and here we are 8 years later doing rental cars. And the community has been very welcoming. We've enjoyed a good 8 years in business, enjoyed getting to know many of the local merchants and doing business with them, as well as the city staff, and also been able to participate in the tourism and trails boards. I also want to thank Pam Denahy in her role as tourism. She's done a fantastic job, and we have certainly seen a lot of growth in our business due to the tarantula visitation. I want to present to you for your consideration an ordinance that would restrict camping on non-residential private property. I have a handout for all of you. Betty, I'll give you my copy.
Thank you. I would appreciate it.
Thank you.
I was cutting the line. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you. What do you know?
And there's a note.
There's a note.
Thank you.
As you'll see in the outline I've distributed to you, we believe that such an ordinance is both necessary and beneficial to the people of Lahaina. I want to make it clear that this ordinance is a proposal for the people, not against Walmart, which is where this issue takes place on an almost daily basis. We do shop there ourselves almost daily, spend several thousands of dollars each year with them, and we direct our guests to Walmart every day. It's a 5-minute walk from our campground. We even have a pass-through in our opening in our west fence for the guests to walk to them and the other businesses in our neighborhood that we support. Walmart graciously lets campers camp in about 75% of their parking lots around the country, including the one here in La Junta. And while this might be a nice thing to do, it is not really necessarily a good thing to do, whether at Walmart or any other location in the city not equipped to provide for the electrical, water, or septic services typically necessary for RV customers. Camping on non-residential private property in the city of Lahaina has allowed for public health and safety violations to occur, and I believe Mr. Fowler will speak to that here momentarily. It also does nothing to contribute to the local economy in terms of taxes for lodging. It does not improve the lives of the people in the city. Walmart does not want to be the bad guy when it comes to this issue, and I understand that. Their employees do not want to be tasked with asking campers to camp elsewhere. That is why at least 31 municipalities in Colorado have passed ordinances restricting camping in their communities, and we encourage the city of La Junta to be the next to do so. A sample ordinance from the city of Fort Collins has been provided to you that helps you to take the next step. Please note that the sample ordinance does not prohibit over-the-road truckers from sleeping in non-residential private properties. Again, I thank you for your time and your consideration, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
I have one question. During the resurfacing of the Walmart parking lot, did you see an influx of people coming to the KOA?
I'm sorry?
During the recent resurfacing of the Walmart parking lot where they tore it down, went several feet below and resurfaced the entire parking lot, did you see an influx of people?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
It's really a Other KOA owners, there's 530 KOAs around the country, let alone 14,000 other private campgrounds. And by and large, they will tell you they're not really looking to get people that are sleeping in Walmarts to stay at their campgrounds because you will get lots of complaints about the prices we're charging because they're being able to stay for free as compared to having to pay a fee. I believe it's a safety and health issue, and again, Mr. Fowler, I think, will address that because their Walmart is not equipped now to handle campers. They're not set up for that. Now, with that resurfacing, they have put up signs that say no overnight parking, but they're not enforcing it. And they really can't, it's their property, so they can tell people to stay off, but I don't think they really want to get into doing that. I think it's really a matter of having an ordinance in place that can inform the people that might want to stay there and gives the employees at Walmart a little bit of teeth behind it to say, here's why you can't stay here, because it's a city ordinance.
Do you know when they put that sign up by chance? How long it's been there?
Just recently, I believe, because I'm over there a couple times a week and I had not seen them until here in the past week. Yeah. And there's 2 signs that they have up.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if that doesn't deter some, with seeing this sign.
The night a couple nights ago that I saw the sign, what I saw first was the person camping there. And I went over and then saw the signs. And so I called and spoke with the manager there at Walmart, and I said, I see that you have signs up. What's the position on that? And they said, as long as people are not outside their camper having a party, they don't have a problem with it. So I think it would help deter some. But as you may recall, there's a sign right when you come off of 50 on Rogers Road, right before you turn into Walmart, that says no overnight parking. And that's been there for 20 years. And it certainly has not discouraged anybody. All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
I have a question. Are there other properties or other businesses that would be impacted if there was a ban on camping in this?
I don't know, I can't say for sure if there's another business or property that would be impacted, but when we talk about camping, the wording has to be very specific. Right now, I don't think any of those municipalities in Colorado are able to enforce their camping bans at the moment because there's a case before the Supreme Court. And until that gets decided, the Supreme Court is the law of the land. And that doesn't just go for overnight camping, that goes for, with homeless setting up tents and stuff all throughout these cities, not just in Colorado, but nationwide. The camping issue has come full force with the rise in homeless people here lately. And while I appreciate Brad and Bob for coming to speak on this, I don't think we're going to be able to do anything until we have a new city attorney to help us draft such language in an ordinance that would be adequate for something like this going forward. That's my opinion, but you guys can listen and make a decision after that.
I 100% agree that we shouldn't even pretend we can think about this without a city attorney. Other municipalities, when the words camping and ban get put together in the same sentence, it's super complicated, and I think you're right. There's already something in the pipeline with the courts. So being mindful of that and waiting until we get an attorney.
But I still want to hear what Bob has to say.
Yeah.
I'm not saying not to do that,
No,
but I just don't know what action can come tonight.
Right now, but yeah, we're definitely wanting to
So-
look at it.
So you can come to the front, Bob.
Okay. 5 minutes, I know, that's hard to do. Anyway, I'm Robert Fowler, and I do live here in Wauhalla. This is not a new issue for Brad and I. I've talked about this before, even when Kenny Allen had the old trailer park. And the big issue that I've noticed over the years is, and if you go back and look at EPA things, brown water, gray water. The big thing I don't like to see out there is the fact that they take both those hoses, both the brown and the gray water, put them over in the ditch. That is just disgusting, because they're running their toilets, they're running their showers, and they don't care where they put it on the ground. And so to me, this is an issue. If you go back and look in Fort Collins right now, and I didn't tell Brad, but I've been watching Fort Collins, they have such a homeless issue where they have their homeless camp. They are actually, the city is hauling those campers away because they're dumping their brown and gray water right on the ground by where they have a shelter and their food source on the north side of town. So to me, this is really an issue, and I didn't know there was one at the Supreme Court, but I think it needs to be done. And I've looked at this, even when Kenny Allen at his place, I talked to him long before he sold it and died, that people would come into the Gibson parking lot and they just go off and leave their brown water and gray water in the parking lot. But as you go by there and see the brown waters on the ground when they leave, and some of those people are there for 3 or 4 days, that's disgusting. And then when you see they have both of their hoses going into that ditch, which is both the brown and the gray, that's not appropriate. That's actually a health issue for us as a whole community, because that means it's finally going to hit the river, and that's, your water department has to be very picky what they're doing with the river. So I see it as a major health issue that's gone on for quite some time, homelessness or not. I'm all in favor of an ordinance like this, and I know you might look into what Fort Collins has done, because because I have a boy that lives there, and I get the newspaper over on that north end. They're hauling those units out of there because that's what they do. They want to live in there because it's warm, but they're dumping that, again, the brown and the gray water on the ground. You can't do it. Federal government's looking at some of these places that you can go in right now with your camper if it's self-contained, because of the damage to the tundra, of looking that you can't dump your brown water or your gray water on the ground at all, because they've allowed that for a long time. You can go in, find a place to park. Well, that's still a fat, fragile tundra. So I see this as can be a major health issue, that if those people don't want to stay someplace to pay for it, you should not allow them to dump those two kinds of water on the parking lot or in that ditch. So I see this as can be a major health issue. If your kids are out there playing and they get playing in that ditch and your kids come up and now they're covered with brown water, how would you think about that? I'd be a little unhappy, to say the least. So whether something's going or not, you might even check with Fort Collins, but this has been an issue that's bothered me for a long time. I just don't like it. You shouldn't do it. It's wrong to start with, and people look at that because they don't want to spend the money. I can't say they're cheap, but they should not do that. Common sense would tell you, you don't dump those two kinds of water on anything that's public, and they do. And you can see them. And some of the people there for 2 or 3 days, those just have to look, and you see those hoses go over into that ditch, and then you can see under where they were. Disgusting. So.
Does Walmart have security out there?
No.
Just
cameras, but that's about it. Yeah, and so if they have the signs up, it is an issue. But if you're going to table it, probably I would encourage you to look at this, because this is sometimes go by and you can see we're closer to where Village Inn is. You find those homeless people always looking for money and gas and their kids. When you leave, you can look under there and they leave all their trash in that water on the ground, because a lot of them have those old mobile homes and they're dumped it on the ground, and that's, I just find it absolutely disgusting.
I think Walmart put a no loitering sign on that corner, is that correct? Yeah. But Village Inn hasn't done anything on their corner, so they just basically went right across the street, right?
It's been spray painted over, so.
Oh, so they had one? Village Inn had one?
No,
Oh,
Walmart.
okay.
Yeah, so anyway, that's just my opinion, and this is long before Brad decided to bring this up, and I talked to him, that it's bothered me for a long time. It's just ugly to drive by and see those two hoses into that ditch. This is just absolutely disgusting. And if they're doing it there, they're going to be doing other parking lots, whether it's Safeway, whether it's the new lumberyard, whether it's the old Gibson store. You look around and you're going to find these people doing the same thing in those places. So it's not, to me, it's not just a Walmart issue. This is something that needs to be looked at in the entire city.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Bob, I don't know if you know or not, what are the property boundaries of Walmart? Because now it seems like them hoses that they're leaving the parking lot and going into that ditch. I don't know if that is.
I don't know how the drainage goes.
I believe the ditch is still part of their property to a certain extent, and then as it starts coming up to the road, then it changes property line. So,
And I don't know where it drains to. It goes
I'll find out
under-
for you. I'll find out.
Yeah, and the state worked on that when they put that in with that drainage that goes down by Highway 50. And the state's worked on that, and it finally will get to the river. So now I can picture like the rainstorms even we've had recently. Somebody has been in there, if they couldn't get to the mountains, you could just picture it. There's 3 trailers there, they have their hoses there, then we have the rain or a typical summer flood. Where's it gonna end up? Right down in the river. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So that's just mine that I've watched for a long time. To me, it can be an actual health issue.
But
All right, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
I just have a comment
Okay.
on that. I echo Joe and Maureen's words there. I think the key thing here is going to be language. And when we're talking about those RVs and those types of vehicles as opposed to camping.
Yeah.
So I think,
Well, this
But-
is citizen participation right now, right? So we still can discuss. Yeah.
I just think that's going to be key. So when we get an attorney, those
Well, your
things will be key.
semi-drivers, if you look, some of those guys, they have pretty fancy, they have self-contained bathrooms, they have their own little kitchens. They're not really the issue.
Yeah.
Because when they go to the certified truck stops, you see them, they go through and fill up with diesel and they dump that stuff. They're not the ones. These are people that may be on a limited budget to come through. And some of them are probably the homeless, because we've all seen them. They're parked there. They're either, they have their kids out there, they have their signs up, need money for gas or whatever. You can go by and you can see it on the ground when they leave, along with all their trash. So it's really, again, when I see those 2 hoses go in that ditch, that's just disgusting. Because I know what they're putting in there, both the gray and the brown water. And it could be any parking lot in town. That's why this is not just for Walmart, because they're gonna find a way to hide it in other places. But if it is an ordinance, it would have to be any of these big open parking lots that we have.
Thank you,
Okay.
Bob.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
And then just for clarification, the no camping, you have to have a place that holds, I think, at least 25 beds in order to have a no camping ordinance in your city. That's the one that's in front of the Supreme Court right now. So we would have to have a place to house them, up to 25 of
Like a
them,
shelter
Yes.
or, okay.
if we're gonna say that they can't camp. So that's why, up till recently, we haven't had any type of no camping ban. And I know you're talking about RVs and this is more like for tents and stuff like that, but they consider it all camping right now. So if we can look at language or maybe even say something with the dumping, or it's gonna have to be worded correctly so we don't get in trouble. But
that's
that's what we'd have to look at.
because if you displace them, you have to house them.
Yeah.
And one thing that I will mention though is while there's no direct ordinance or anything right now, there is a law regarding trespassing. So if it's private property and it's posted and they say Walmart doesn't want you there, then call the police department for trespassing. So while we may not have an ordinance, that may be an avenue of approach that could be used because, like I said, trespassing is in the law.
Thank you.
Gary Cranston, I'm a resident. Just a thought about this. We probably have, but we should check and strengthen or enforce ordinance that says you are not allowed to dump sanitary waste anywhere. And that can be instantly taken care of when somebody dumps out there. When you post a sign that says sanitary waste disposal is against the law, you'll be ticketed, whatever. That would be a quicker solution than trying to keep people from parking and dumping.
Good idea.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.